Class is in session, hitting the books, college basketball show, Saturday edition, March 22nd, NCAA tournament, round of 32 is upon us. Ian Cameron and Connor Mack with you, ready to break it all down. This will be a nice, quick show, 8 games in round of 32 action for Saturday. We'll be in and out in about 30 minutes or so. So let's get right into it. It was a very interesting first 2 days. Really, the main observation is Chalk City so far. My goodness, only 5 double-digit seeds have made their way to the round of 32. New Mexico and Colorado State out of the Mountain West. We'll see them tomorrow. McNeese State, we'll see them today, as well as Drake. We'll see them today, and Arkansas. So a lot of favorites found their way to the winner's circle in the round of 64. The first round, we'll see if the favorites continue to dominate here today in the round of 32. We'll begin with the first game that tips off at just after noon Eastern. McNeese State and Purdue. McNeese State authored one of the few upset underdog stories of the opening round. We'll see if they have another chapter in that book here this afternoon. We've got Purdue minus 6.5, 142.5 the total in this game. Purdue managed to withstand an upset bid from High Point in their first round game. They got the job done. Really, it was Trey Kaufman-Renn. It was not really Smith or Lawyer, the two great guards. It was more of the Trey Kaufman-Renn show. He played phenomenal for Purdue in that victory against High Point. We'll see if they can keep it going. McNeese State is a team that likes to pound the paint, score inside. 2-point field goals is their thing. Not really a great 3-point shooting team. Purdue still has some interior defensive concerns for me. Obviously, Zach.
Yeah, inside. That's why I like it.
And so I think McNeese has a pathway here to having success down low in this game. But my concern is, how do they match up with the guards? Because the one thing I'll say for McNeese against Clemson, Clemson's guards were pretty bad in that game. They didn't really offer that much. And now you have to give McNeese a lot of credit, too, because Clemson's offense just completely shut down. I mean, it ended up 69-67. I think a lot of that was Clemson went full court pressure. McNeese State, I think, took their foot off the gas pedal, got a little sloppy. It'll be interesting to see if Matt Painter has the wherewithal to maybe throw some pressure looks at McNeese State, because they certainly struggled with them down the stretch against Clemson. But you have to also keep in mind they dominated that game, even though it ended up a 2-point victory at the end of the day. You know, it was pretty much dominance from McNeese State for most of the game. I'm coming back to them. They are one of the dogs that rewarded me in the first round. I took McNeese State plus the points against Clemson. I'm going to take a shot with them here. I'm going to split this up, though, and I'm doing this with a couple of the teams on the card today, first half and full game, because there is that concern of a wear-down effect, you know, as the game goes on with certain teams. So I'm going to take a little bit of McNeese State, upwards of +4 in the first half, and you can get 6.5, even in some spots 7 for the full game here in this one. I think it's competitive. The concern would be, will they handle the guards of Purdue? But you could also say, will the Purdue interior handle McNeese? Because that's where their strength is. So, you know, actually, because I think both teams have pathways to points, I kind of lean over. It's a lower total for a Purdue game. I know McNeese shut down Clemson completely. And it actually went over because all the fouling late. It had no business going over. That should have stayed under the McNeese-Clemson game. But I think it could sneak over the total. I don't love the over, but I lean that way. C-Mac, first game off. What do you think here, McNeese, Purdue?
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with this total here. It's just all, like, I think if threes go down, I just don't think McNeese wants to get up and down with this team. You hit on it. That's why I like, you know, McNeese is like, they're good. I think they're going to take good shots, and I don't trust this Purdue team. I just think they're soft. I think High Point was a little bit just couldn't get the job done. I know the rest, there's tons more fouls for Purdue. They didn't get to the line, High Point, but I think they just kind of gave it away. They weren't good inside. They were lucky they kind of hit a few threes. They weren't great from there, but I think they hit 10, I think, in that game. They just had pulled up.
Yep. Yep.
But they still struggled a little bit. Purdue pulled away. I think just McNeese can get him. I think, you know how I feel about a few of these coaches, and one of them's Painter. I don't know if he does make a move like that to press. So, yeah, I like McNeese here. I lean under here. I think it's all about the threes. You talked about the guards. Smith and Purdue, same thing with McNeese if they're hitting their threes here.
All right, this is the game that's getting a lot of hype and attention because of the coaching matchup. The veterans, John Calipari, Rick Pitino, history going back to when Calipari coached at Kentucky, Pitino coached at Louisville, and now they renew acquaintances here this afternoon in the second round of the NCAA tournament. St. John's 7-point favorites, 144.5 the total. St. John's rolled past Omaha. Arkansas survived what was one of the better games of the first round against Kansas. That was a really good game. The Razorbacks and the Jayhawks. But again, St. John's, it took them a while to get going. Again, even against Omaha, they ended up winning that game easily, blowing them out. But my goodness, early in the game, another slow start for Rick Pitino's team, and that has become just part of their DNA, CMAC. They just start slow. They're comfortable and they're content, just feeling their way, easing their way into these games. They don't care at all that they fall behind 6, 8, 10 points early in these games. So for me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think the Hogs in the first half is a good bet here. It's just a consistent pattern with St. John's starting slow. And I think it's going to be a bit of a step-up matchup for I think St. John's is going to win, and I think that there's a chance in the second half they take over again like they often do. And how do you not give Rick Pitino an advantage over John Calipari out of halftime? We saw that Kansas went zone against Arkansas, and they didn't know what the fuck to do with it. They're very fortunate Kansas treated the basketball like a hand grenade, and Hunter Dickinson was the biggest fucking no-show in college basketball history the other night with that pathetic performance, or else Arkansas may not even be here in this game this afternoon. But the fact remains St. John's has been a slow starter. Arkansas did win the first half against Kansas the other night. I think +4 with Arkansas first half. I mean, it's just been consistent with St. John's. They've not gotten off to slow starts. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Arkansas first half. St. John's roars back, wins, and covers the full game. That would not shock me. But here's the concern I do have with St. John's. We love Zuby Ejiofor. We love Kadari Richmond. It's a very tough team, physical team, defense, rebounding. They're coming off an outlier as far as shooting against Omaha. Can they deliver that again here? Not to mention, you start to look at what they did in the non-conference CMAC. As great as St. John's was, destroyed the Big East, ran amok over the Big East Conference. If you go back to their non-conference results, they lost to Baylor. They lost to Georgia. So I worry now that as we get into these tougher games out of the conference of the Big East, is St. John's ready for it and to be laying a number like this? So that's the only concern. I do think that's a big coaching advantage for Pitino. I think Arkansas, though, early hangs around. St. John's just a notorious slow starter. So at the end of the day, the bet I really like the most is Arkansas targeting the first half here, +4. I think that's the best approach. And then maybe figure out what to do with this game live at halftime. CMAC, what do you think here?
That's how I took it. I was going to bet this game live. I think just St. John's is the better team overall. And at this point, I kind of talked about, I thought they could get to the Elite Eight or Final Four. I don't think they go further than that. I just think they're going to have a bad shooting night. And we'll see in a tight game if they can make their free throws. With Arkansas, all of a sudden this team, what I kind of felt in this game, Venos, there's going to be points.
Back from injury for Boogie Flans, so maybe he's even more in rhythm and comfortable today.
We'll see. I think he just played 20 minutes. He only had 6 points.
Yeah.
Will there be points here? I mean, Arkansas all of a sudden has just gone over, I think, 6 straight, 7 of 8, something like that.
Yeah.
And even St. John's, a lot of their games, I know in that game, it's just Omaha couldn't score a bucket in the second half. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or that would have been on its way. So I guess at first I thought maybe this is a little bit high, but I think Arkansas can have some success early shooting the ball. As long as they're not cold, I think they can hang around a little bit early, like you were talking about.
Yeah. This maybe they cover the full game Arkansas as well, but I'm a little more worried about that. The advantage on paper shifts to St. John's in the second half because I'll take Pitino and what he's coming up with to adjust at halftime 10 times out of 10 over John Calipari. It's that simple. So that's where the big advantage is, in my opinion. And we know this team is a good second half team, St. John's. They've been that, but they've just as good a second half team as they've been. I mean, when's the last time St. John's came out of the gate strong to start a game? It's been a long time. It's been slow start, falling behind every single game, even when they won the Big East tournament. Look at those games. They fell behind Marquette. They fell behind Creighton early in those games. They fell behind Omaha on Thursday night or early in that. That's why I think the first half with Arkansas does make sense to me. All right, Creighton and Auburn. We've got Auburn 9-point favorites, 150.5 the total in this one. Something's wrong with Auburn, man. This has been a team that's just they've not played well for a while now, not played their best, found ways to win. The Alabama State game, that was a very rough first half from them. Now they eventually got things rolling, but you're seeing sloppiness. I don't think they're playing as tight defensively, and to be quite honest with you, they go in more offensive droughts lately than they did earlier in the season. Creighton is coming off a phenomenal performance. I like the veteran group they've got. McDermott's a good coach. I mean, these are guys that have been around the block a long time with Kalkbrenner and with Stephen Ashworth. Jemiah Neal, how about the game he played against Louisville in the victory for Creighton? He was absolutely outstanding for the Blue Jays in that game. It's kind of Auburn has also been a money burner lately. Point spread wise, they have not been very good late in the regular season, SEC tournament, and of course against Alabama State that first game. I'm okay taking +9 with the veteran Creighton squad here, playing really good ball against an Auburn team that is not playing the way they did in November and December. That has become crystal clear. That's when Auburn looked unbeatable, unstoppable in the first 2 months of the season. They don't look that way right now. So I think Creighton makes this a competitive game. I think this goes over the total, 150.5 as well. I think when you look at this game, should be played in the open court. Creighton is certainly playing with great offensive confidence. I think Auburn can score inside as well here in this game. I think there's going to be some ability for them to do that. Now, it's going to be interesting, the matchup for Kalkbrenner. He is so key. Janai Broom is a very solid defensive player to match up against him. That's going to be a great, great battle today, or I should say tonight in this game. Kalkbrenner against Broom. And I'm fascinated to see how that plays out. But look, the current form of Auburn, it kind of feels like 9 is a lot to ask this team to lay against a quality foe like Creighton. C-Mac, how do you see this one?
Yeah, on the total, I haven't bet it yet, but I was looking, I think, to the over in this game. I just think in the end, it's going to get there. Auburn, I just think, when I've gone through everything, it was kind of something to look at. They were just a lot better at home, their defensive numbers, than on the road. And they were one of those teams that, even when I checked it, they were third offensively, unbelievable, 30th outside the top 20. They dropped even further. I think they were like 43 before the tournament, their overall defensive efficiency. And those numbers just go crazier on the road or on a neutral. It's Creighton, though, here. It's the three-pointer. They shoot a lot of them. They were hot. Like, that's the one thing. I think they have a chance. I like this has gone down 8.5. Maybe it goes down a little bit more, but maybe it was too big. But I think they can hang around first half here. You give me 5 points with Creighton. I think they can be in this basketball game, especially early, as Auburn struggled, their last 4 or 5 games early in games. So I like them early here, and I do like that over. I wanted to look at it a little bit more. I haven't bet here.
Yeah. So Creighton for C-Mac as well, but likes the first half a little bit more on that one. All right, UCLA, Tennessee. Tennessee 5-point favorites, 130 the total in this one. This is one game that I do not think is going to be a high-scoring affair. This feels like it's going to be one of those grinded-out affairs. Although I will say this about Tennessee. Some of their games lately have gotten over the total. I think a product of that, though, is also some of the opponent. Wofford is a decent shooting team. They're not a great defensive team, and that game obviously went over the total, Wofford and Tennessee. Plus, I don't think Tennessee played their best game defensively against Wofford. I think they know they're going to have to bring their A game at that end of the court here today against UCLA, a little bit of a higher pedigree type of opponent. If Tennessee plays the capabilities defensively that they have, I think it's going to be tough for UCLA to score. I mean, I don't overreact to UCLA piling up a bunch of points and blowing out Utah State. Utah State had some issues down the stretch, in my opinion, kind of a limited team. This is going to be a lot tougher here for UCLA in this game. I can't believe I'm saying this. We are talking about Rick Barnes in March, and he didn't cover as a favorite against Wofford in the tournament opener. That being said, I think because of that, you're getting a bit of a discount here with the Volunteers, and I actually think there's value on Tennessee -5. I have not thought that this is a vintage, phenomenal UCLA team from the very beginning of this season, and I think this could be the spot where everybody finds that out. It's an okay UCLA team. It's not a great UCLA team, and I think they meet their match today. C-Mac, what do you think here?
Gosh, I don't want fucking Barnes here. Give me UCLA. I don't give a fuck.
Hey.
5.5. Give me the Bruins. I'll take Mick in this team. I think he's a better coach. I'll take the 5.5 points on a neutral.
That part's true.
All day long. I like this under. This 130 now. I still don't know if it gets here to 130. I mean, that's where I was looking at as the under in this game. But I think UCLA can hang. Both defenses are good. This game's going to be played slow. Both teams don't get up and down. Of course, Tennessee defense overall a little bit better. Yeah, can UCLA have some success? I think they can a little bit. It's not going to be easy. They're going to have to hit some threes in this game. But I think they can hang around. Give me the Bruins here and under.
This is definitely, if Tennessee fails to cover, and especially if they lose this game outright, this is definitely all on Rick Barnes. You should not be in a position to, you are the experienced team. UCLA's not. You're the better team. Look, there's no doubt Tennessee, their roster's better than UCLA this year on paper. There's no question about that. But if you lose this game, it'll be another Rick Barnes special. And look, I get it. The ATS numbers for him in this tournament are not good historically. So I get the case for UCLA. So I like that. A little bit on opposite sides there. All right, Gonzaga and Houston. We've got Houston 5-point favorites, 140 the total in this game. Congrats to Mark Few and my fellow Canadian, Andrew Nemhard, for an outstanding performance there in the first round against Georgia. And they blew the doors off Georgia, man. That was very, very impressive. No question. I'm sorry, Ryan Nemhard, I should say. Andrew's his brother playing for the Pacers. Ryan Nemhard for Gonzaga. Great performance by them against Georgia, obviously, in that first round matchup. You're not playing Georgia now. You're playing the Houston Cougars. I think the line's a little bit short. I like the Cougs here. Houston Cougars here -5 to get the job done here. And this, I just think it's very short. I think Gonzaga this line's been lessened because of how impressive they were against Georgia. First of all, Georgia, other than a little red hot run to get them in the tournament late in the season, that was not a great Georgia team this year. Not at all. And Mike White's been a tournament underachiever in the past. So, like I say, I really don't get that impressed or excited by Gonzaga playing the way they did against Georgia. And if anything, when you shoot the ball that well, now you're playing against one of the best defenses in the country. You're probably going to come primed for a comeback down to earth reality check here against the Houston Cougars and Kelvin Sampson. This line I thought should have been closer to 7.5. So at 5, count me in. I like Houston here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, that's just this line. And now we're even seeing 4.5. So I think Gonzaga's live here a little bit. Just
Wow.
all the pressure is off of them. I mean, normally they've been the 1-2 seed. We're always,
there's something to that. Yep.
I think there's
more pressure on Houston here. There's no doubt. There's
for sure. They do have the better defense. Like I think Houston, we could still see them win this game by 15, but I think the pressure here, there's not a ton with Gonzaga. They've been playing their best basketball. I like the under a little bit better because I do think it's going to be difficult. Like Houston's not going to want to make this. These teams shoot the ball well. Threes could be made, and we could get over. But I just think this is going to be a grind-it type game. We've seen all year even great teams go against Houston, and it's just tough to get over, 65 points. I just think this is lower scoring, and I think it's close. I think Gonzaga, has a shot here as they're playing their best basketball of the year, and a lot of pressure on Houston. Is it finally going to happen? The team keeps going, or I just think Gonzaga could bring it today. Watch out.
They definitely can. Mark Few's a hell of a coach too. He can match, and Kelvin's phenomenal, but Mark Few can, certainly give him a run for his money. There's no doubt. No, that's a great game. Like I said, I just feel.
I get how you think it's short, though. I mean, how could you not? with Houston.
I go back to the non-conference with Gonzaga when they played the best of the best in non-conference. They shit the bed or came up short every time. Blew that big lead to Kentucky. I still can't get that out of my mind.
Yeah.
Gonzaga.
And how much do you take from it? That's what we have to look at, as always. Like, because they're different basketball teams than there, but you got to kind of look at it on a neutral in those games. It puts some merit to it. So yeah, I get what you're saying. So this game should be great. I can't wait for it.
So should this one. Drake and Texas Tech. Texas Tech 7-point favorites, 127 the total. Very interesting. Colleagues and very good friends, the two head coaches here. Ben McCollum for Drake, Grant McCaslin for Texas Tech. So it's going to be interesting to see. They can't be friends today because at the end of the day, it's about getting to the Sweet 16. You got to park the friendship here for one day. But interesting matchup. It's kind of like the McNeese State-Purdue game for me. McNeese was good to me. Rewarded me with an outright upset win as an underdog against Clemson. Drake rewarded me for an outright upset win as an underdog against Missouri, although I thought they matched up well. They could slow it down. They could really frustrate.
They did,
Missouri.
for sure.
Boy, did they ever. The game plan was clear, and the game plan was executed perfectly by Drake. They absolutely suffocated Missouri. They frustrated them. They made them run their sets in the half court. And Missouri just couldn't do that. Now, Texas Tech's a team that could probably play that way a little bit better than Missouri can. Texas Tech can go up and down in a up and down, high-paced affair, fast-paced game. They can also play in a slow-it-down, half-court game. I think that's the good thing about this Red Raiders team. The concern for me with Drake is, do they have a stopper for for JT Toppin? I keep saying Obi. JT Toppin here for Texas Tech. Because he's one hell of a player. There's no question. They're starting to shoot a little bit better from the perimeter. Now, I didn't love what I saw defensively from Texas Tech in their escape, and it was an escape for them against NC Wilmington in the first round. But
they shot the three too much. I mean, they shot like 53s. Like, it was just
eating it down low. I agree with that. And if that changes today, that could be an issue for Drake. But I'm taking Drake one more time here. Because of the fact, look, the total is 127 for a reason. There ain't going to be many possessions in this game. Drake is one of, not just this season, one of the slowest paced teams in the country. They say based on taking the shot clock almost down to zero with every possession, they're one of the slowest paced teams in the last 5 to 10 years in college
they have
basketball. So to get 7 points in a game that's going to be played in quicksand, a grinder and low possessions, with a good defensive team, and Drake is a good defensive team, and they've got experience, and they've played a tough non-conference schedule, and they've shown they can withstand it and be competitive. I love Tech, but Tech -4, maybe I'm on the other side. Tech -7, I think it's probably inside that number for me. And look, 127 is a low total, but I ain't betting this thing over. Did you see that Drake game the other day? There's no way I'm betting this game over. C-Mac, what do you think?
And that game, I'll hit on from the beginning, which I just don't like. Drake can't get down, 15 or 20 because they just don't have that type team. No. They missed a ton of free throws. I just don't like that. I mean, they're not favorites in this game. They are the dog, but they missed a ton the other day against Missouri.
Yep.
They got to do better there. And all year, I think they've been a 69% team, just around there from the free throw line. So they got to be a little bit better. This Texas Tech team, I think, is the last month, maybe even longer, the defense has started to slip a little bit. It just hasn't played to the level I thought they kind of were when I were looking at them middle of the year about this team. Yeah, and that last game was just crazy. All the threes that they shot, it seemed a little weird. And I think no McMillan hurts. It just does. With him not out there, it's as good as Toppin is. He will have success, probably at least score, 18 points in this game. Not having another scorer like him on the floor hurts, especially a team like Drake. Unless Texas Tech goes back to how they were playing earlier in the year, which, could win this game by 15, and Drake's just ice cold. But I don't really see it. I think Drake's in this game. You got a low total here. They're just going to suck the fucking air out of the ball and just, like you talked about, bring this down the shot clock, play defense. I think they're in it.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, that's a good game. I'm looking forward to that one. BYU, they're all pretty good games for the most part, though, today. All right, we go to Denver now for the last two games. BYU, Wisconsin. Wisconsin 1.5 point favorites, 155.5 the total in this game. I feel Wisconsin's better than maybe BYU has got to prove it to me one more time because I'm stubborn with them and they keep playing well. But Wisconsin to me, with Tonje and Blackwell and Kral and with what I see from them offensively, like they just took it to Montana in what we thought might be a tough spot. So there's still people talking about how, well, the elevation, because they went to the Big Ten championship game. Well, did it look like they affected them? And the one thing, too, is Greg Gard got to rest the starters down the stretch. That's important. It turned into a romp over Montana. So the starters got off the floor late in the game. So they're at least a little bit fresher because of that. At this number, it's Wisconsin or pass. Now, I do respect the hell out of what BYU's doing right now. No question about it. But I think Wisconsin's been underrated and just totally disrespected for quite a while. And I've watched a lot of Wisconsin basketball. Maybe it's because I bet on them a lot this year and have won with overs with them as well. I think Wisconsin can find a way here against BYU. BYU, just shot the lights out against VCU, and that was impressive. And VCU is a good team. So that does concern me.
They did early, at least. The first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They were just on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. But I pick them. I still think Wisconsin is a slightly better team. I just do. And BYU will have to prove it to me one more time. I like Wisconsin. I certainly think this game's got a lot of points to it. Should be played with a lot of pace. So I like over the total as well. CMAC, what do you think here? BYU, Wisconsin.
That's what I look to in this game. Because I think this gets over. I don't think it's a bargain at 155.
No, it's not. That's the only concern. Because I remember I thought Montana, Wisconsin, 151.5. We lose by the hook. Brutal loss. Brutal.
Yeah, it didn't have a point in 150 left when there could have been foul. It was great. There was foul. There was missed free throw. It was just wild to not even have a 1 point there. It was hey, that's how it goes. Especially when you're getting your ass kicked. It seems like everything rolls downhill. I'm gonna stay off this game. I think in the end, similar teams. I think it's a coin flip. BYU's close here to home. They did a nice favor for them. Can they keep hitting their threes? I think Wisconsin, very similar type teams. Shoot the three well, free throws. So, but in the end, I thought Wisconsin, if you match up and it's just basically a pick 'em, I kind of lean their way, but I won't be involved. Maybe I get in something live here on this game.
All right, and our last game of this round of 32 on this Saturday, Michigan and Texas A&M. We've got Texas A&M 3-point favorites, 141 the total. And I talked about Wisconsin. I think a lot is being made. They're too much of a big deal being made of the spot and all the games they've played, and Michigan's in that same situation. But there is one key difference. Michigan had to exert themselves very heavily to escape past UC San Diego, the Tritons, the other night. That was a down-to-the-wire, physically exhausting affair, emotionally exhausting because they had the lead most of the game, and then UC San Diego makes that furious run and comes back. Not to mention Wisconsin, CMAC. When did they play their game on Thursday? Early. It's an early afternoon game. It was one of the earliest games on Thursday. Michigan had to play late at night. So it's a tougher turnaround for them, in my opinion, here. And they had to play the more taxing game, than Wisconsin did. So I think it's a tough matchup. I think the physicality of A&M could bother Michigan. And that's the one thing that I think Michigan survived with against UC. UC San Diego doesn't have a physical, imposing front court. Texas A&M does, and I think that's going to allow them to really handle the rebound battle a lot better than maybe UC San Diego did. Now, look, you've got to worry, obviously, about Danny Wolf and those guys. I think A&M can handle them. You got to worry about Trey Donaldson. He is playing at a very good level right now for Michigan. There's no doubt. But again, I think when you look at A&M, I'm seeing Wade Taylor, the senior, really start to pick his game up. I thought he was excellent in the victory for them against Yale in the first round. I thought he played a really good game. I just think this is where maybe Michigan hits that wall finally. Not to mention, I do think A&M, a little bit the better team. And A&M's been doing a better job lately, and this is key as well, turning the opponent over. We know Michigan is not Michigan's not opposed to turning the basketball over. We know that. That's been an issue for them much of the season. So I think it works well. Now it's gone up to 3, and I'm sure CMAC will hit on this, maybe a little leery at -3, taking A&M. Yeah. I took them in the money line at -125. I got a really good money line price early yesterday before the line moved a little bit. I still like A&M in this game. I do think they win. I think this game could creep over the total as well because A&M's been offensively a little bit more efficient lately. Michigan's going to try to pick up pace here. So 141 did seem a little bit low with this total. And I can't be alone in thinking that because I'm just looking now. Holy shit. I see this total up to
145.
Holy fuck. It's moving up.
44.
So clearly there's people that agree with that. C-Mac, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's total up to 144, 145. There's 3.5s, a few places. Yeah, that's the one. Like, can they at Michigan have just one of these bad games where they turn the ball over, 20 times? They almost against this A&M team in its defense. One thing that Michigan, they talk about their size, but this A&M team can rebound. Offensive defense, and they're top. They've been better than Michigan all year long. They've been basically top 10, top 5 in that category. We know how he wants to have his team hit the boards here. And the thing is, I think this lines up good for A&M, but I'm just there's no fucking way now at 3.5. I'm going to lay points. I'm just not going to do it. This is a team that struggles from the free throw line. Even against Yale just couldn't make any shots. A&M got theirs down low. They weren't great from 3. But I think they went 12 of 21 from the free throw line, something like that.
It wasn't great.
A&M.
Yeah.
Wasn't great again. I worry about that when you're laying 3.5 now. The team like that, 57%, 12 of 21. And all year long, they have been great. They have to, Taylor, they've been better when they had the time without him, but I think they lean on him a little bit too much. So, I just, 3.5, no way for me here. I'm just off as of now. I'm going to look live or wait.
There you go. That's it. I did not bet the 2 NIT games in case people were wondering. I did not. I didn't. I don't know if here's the thing with NIT and the other tournaments. When there's no NCAA tournament games, I'll find some time to cap them and bet anything I like. But when they're putting these games, these NIT CBI games on Saturday and Sunday, like they are this weekend, up against the NCAA tournament, I'm not getting involved. It's just, tomorrow there's CBI games for them. We'll do the Sunday show tomorrow. Don't expect me to have any bets for the CBI stuff. It's to me a little bit insane. They're putting it up against the NCAA tournament, but it is what it is, no doubt. We already talked UCLA, Tennessee, Dominic. So if you missed it, go back and rewatch the earlier part of the show. But we did talk about that. We're on opposite sides there, believe it or not. C-Mac and I, Dominic, with that game. C-Mac likes UCLA, doesn't trust Rick Barnes. I don't trust Rick Barnes either. I just trust the roster and the quality of team. I just think they're a better team than UCLA. But this is Rick Barnes in March, so I get taking UCLA. But he's on UCLA. I'm on Tennessee there. I will never take Barnes again. And I actually took Wofford plus the points against Tennessee in the first round game, and Wofford covered. But I just feel they're better than UCLA. We'll see, though. They do have the better coach. I agree with C-Mac there, Mick Cronin.
No buzzer beaters, no OTs. Never. I don't think I've ever seen that in the whole first round.
Just, with
insane.
All the chalk that won, not as many dogs, not as many higher seeds, and not as many drama-filled, exciting conclusions to
games. Yeah.
Crazy. Tons of blowouts, especially yesterday. My goodness.
I think we're going to get good games today.
Well, that's the thing. You hope that a lot of the chalk winning in the first round leads to great, thrilling basketball in this round today and tomorrow. That is definitely what you hope for. So we will see. Good stuff, everybody. Shout out to the chat. We'll roll call everybody before we get to best bets. Steven Jackson, Ross Pitts, GNL Photo, Gerald Jones, Nick Alvento, Gold Jew, Canes Nation, Dominic. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in. And we're back tomorrow, same time. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, with the Sunday edition to get you ready for the round of 32 games tomorrow. All right, best bets to wrap it up. C-Mac, what do you got for your Saturday? Round of 32, NCAA tournament best bet.
I'm going to go to the total here in this game. Just make it short, sweet. Gonzaga, Houston, under 140. It's too high. Too high for a Houston game. Gonzaga, we see it with St. Mary's. His total's just too high. Under. Game's going under.
There you go. Gonzaga, Houston, under the total for C-Mac with his best bet. My best bet, I'll go total as well. We'll go out west to that BYU-Wisconsin game. 154.5 is still available. It's, like I say, it's not a bargain, but I do think the offenses are vastly the superior groups on both teams. And if anything, BYU already plays fast. I read a quote from their and he's a good coach, this guy, Kevin Smith here for BYU. He's done a great job. You know what's impressive about Kevin Smith here for BYU is that, or Kevin Young, I should say. Kevin Young has come from the NBA ranks before he got this BYU job. And sometimes those guys that come from the NBA, it's a different animal coaching college kids. But boy, what a seamless transition, Kevin Young, from the NBA to the college ranks. He's done a great job with BYU. He did hint that because Wisconsin's played a lot of basketball, they're going to try to quicken things even more, potentially going into this game. So that's kind of what pushed me into using this as my best bet for the show. I think it'll be played at a very brisk pace. Both teams are very efficient offensively, especially going into this game. They've both been good offensively, except for you throw out the Michigan game and the Big Ten championship for Wisconsin. But other than that, they have been rolling offensively. So we'll go with that for best bet. BYU, Wisconsin, over 154.5 for my best bet here for this Saturday. All right, there you have it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We're back with you tomorrow. Enjoy the action today. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we're back tomorrow on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, with another edition of the college basketball.
Shout out to the chat.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Back tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the college basketball Hitting the Books show. Until then, class dismissed.